Henry Green!
Henry Green!
Henry Green!
Jerod Thomas!
Jerod Thomas!
Jerod Thomas!
For the fifth straight day, hundreds of protesters take to the Ohio State House, calling for an end to police brutality here and across the country. Good evening, and thank you for joining us here for NBC4 at 7. I'm Jerod Smalley. The protesters who gathered over the past 5 days in downtown Columbus, they're young and old, black and white, from various economic backgrounds. NBC4 reporter Ted Hart talks with several of the protesters today to see what motivates them. Despite yesterday's phone call between the president and Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren, many observers remain highly skeptical enough Big Ten presidents and chancellors would be swayed to change their votes and move forward with playing fall sports. But let's be clear. The president's interest in this issue extends well beyond football. This is a map of the Big Ten Conference, the footprint broken down by state. You'll notice here Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. 3 of the key swing states in the November election. Obviously, you could include Ohio in that, potentially as a 4th in that category. The pressure remains consistent inside and outside the league. Here's a look from Cedarville, where Governor DeWine and his wife Fran just arrived home after leaving the governor's mansion in Bexley. The governor will have to spend the next 14 days in quarantine after testing positive for COVID-19 today. DeWine is set to give a virtual news conference to discuss that situation at any moment. Now, we'll of course bring that to you. Good afternoon. Thanks for staying with us here for First at 4. I'm Jerod Smalley. You have been listening to Governor Mike DeWine speaking live from his home in Cedarville, a virtual news conference there put together after his diagnosis of COVID-19. Want to recap very quickly for you what we heard from the governor today. A couple interesting notes in there. First of all, he's only been tested before today once.
Right, exactly.
Since the pandemic began for COVID-19. Took 2 tests today, a rapid test today en route to Cleveland in order to meet President Trump there. That's where they got the positive result. They're awaiting the result of a second test. That's a more thorough test. They hope to have the result of that later on tonight. Just mentioned a moment ago, he has asthma. He's 73 years old, has asthma, so obviously there are concerns there.
Yeah.
Daily treatments for that. So that's a concern. He has no idea where he got it. And they are obviously begin the process now of contact tracing, trying to figure out who he's been in contact with in recent days and figuring out where COVID positive tests are in that line of people. Very clearly, this was a surprise. Some coaches, they yell and scream when they're angry. Some coaches get really quiet. John Tortorella was a little bit of both after the Jackets' performance in Game 2 of their Stanley Cup qualifier series. It's a seat. Whether it's a chair or a bench or a couch, we take a seat to take it all in. A seat is much more than row 6, seat 18. From your seat, that's your view on history. That's how you saw it, where you saw it. And this year, so many seats sat empty. The office chair, the dining room table, the stadium. Those empty seats, they tell the story of a year lost. Too many friends and family lost, time lost. This year, we have learned the value of a seat filled, the pride, the passion, the purpose that comes from those seats. Soon enough, we'll fill those seats that support us, supporting them. And maybe those seats are not empty after all. They're full of hope. They're sitting, waiting for us.
Ohio State wins!
It is considered one of, if not the absolute best atmosphere in college sports. The Penn State whiteout game every other year against Ohio State. The Bucks are in State College tonight, but this year, the whiteout, not a factor. No fans in State College Saturday night. That'll be different, to say the very least. We're going to dive into the Buckeyes and the Nittany Lions in just a few minutes. But first, it is week 10 of football Friday night. Division I Region Final Friday.
That's right, and all season long it's been the curiosity. Can any team pull off an upset of the defending state champions from Pickerington Central? Well, the Tigers unbeaten entering tonight's Region 3 final.
Biggest problem the Tigers had tonight, right here, trying to run through the Spirit banner.
That's right.
See,
that's hard.
Some of the young guys, they got a little false start there. crisis averted. Pick Central starts quickly. Gardner Wallace headed to Northwestern. Whitney, Wildcat fan.
Looks great in purple already.
Heels overhead for the end zone. Warhawk quarterback Judah Holtzclaw matches that. Second quarter, gets to the end zone, tied at 7, but not for long. Tigers turn it up in this second quarter. Wallace again breaks free, and he wins the race to the corner. They get the ball back quickly, and this time they take to the air. Wallace scrambles, and watch this. He heaves it up, and Saran Smith just runs right to it, just like they drew it up. Tigers win another region title, 38-7. They're going to face Mentor in the state semifinals next week.
So we send it over to NBC4 Sports Director Jerod Smalley, who will break down what this return to football will look like and what some of the team has to say about this one. Jerod.
Now, Darlene and Brad, the mission here for players and coaches was very simple. Just find a way to get back to work in beautiful shrines to the sport like Ohio Stadium here. Clearly that mission is accomplished, but it's going to take a lot more than that. A couple observations. The league gave itself practically no wiggle room in setting the schedule they're going to play this year, backing up to the college football playoff selection. That's going to be important here. COVID-19 protocols are critical in terms of executing a season and getting it done in time ahead of that college football playoff, which is so critical to the sport and obviously at Ohio State, an extremely important effort. But here is a look at those protocols and how it's going to work.
When did they go back to that would-be 20 hours a week of practice? Could that start this week?
It will start this week, Brad, in all likelihood. In fact, Ohio State is on the practice field as we speak. Now, there will be differences, obviously. Over the past couple weeks, they've been able to practice 12 hours per week. During a season, that number goes up to 20. And in that, obviously, Ohio State would be able to go through full contact practice. Consider this, Brad. The last time Ohio State blocked and tackled anybody was the Clemson game. And 3 days before that was the last practice they had. That was a full contact practice. Since then, they haven't done it even in practice. They will finally get a chance to once they get their schedule set here.
5 weeks away.
Employers that continue to work, and we have essential industries that absolutely must continue, we would ask them to be extremely careful with their employees for the benefit of the employees, for the benefit of everyone.
Governor Mike DeWine urging essential employers to do everything they can to take care of their workers, including extra sanitation and taking their temperatures before they come to work. There are 119 confirmed cases in Ohio. Although no deaths are confirmed, health investigators are looking into a possible coronavirus-related death in Lucas County. Thank you for joining us tonight for NBC4's extended edition of NBC4 at 11. I'm Jerod Smalley.
I'm Colleen Marshall.
New at 11, President Trump has fired the nation's director of cybersecurity. Christopher Krebs had repeatedly vouched for the accuracy and safety of the 2020 election. But in a tweet announcing Krebs' dismissal, the president called those statements highly inaccurate. Krebs had won bipartisan praise as his agency coordinated efforts to defend electoral systems from foreign interference. Tonight, Krebs tweeted that he was, quote, honored to serve. The thing that crushes you so much and what those parents dealt with is regression. When you start to see it and wonder what is wrong and the panic that starts to set in and the fear of what's to come, I don't wish that on anyone.
Yeah, that regression. And even, of course, obviously in Alzheimer's, you also go through a sense of regression.
Of course.
But in a child, the way you went through it, that's completely different.
Yeah, kudos to that family. I mean, when you're faced with that, get to work.
Yep.
Dive in.
Yep.
And they did it the right way.
Yeah, they sure did. And
hey, it's Dave Mazza.
Hey, Dave Mazza. Yeah, on a much lighter note, I think he's wearing that tie tonight because he lost a bet. I don't know if he wants to go into that.
I will. One of our directors, my buddy Brian, is a huge Vikings fan. He played my Bears. I won the bet last year. He wore my Bears tie.
See, here's the problem with that. See, Dave's on television. Brian, the director, is not. Why is him wearing a tie punitive? And with so many families planning to go virtual for the holidays because of the pandemic, Zoom is making sure you can celebrate as long as you want. Normally, the free version of Zoom allows for 40 minutes. The company is extending time usage, though, for 24 hours. That way, people can celebrate Thanksgiving virtually for as long as they want with their loved ones, both near and far. Maybe too long.
yeah, 24 hours. How about, let's do about the time of a meal.
Let's just wrap it up.
Let's just wrap things up. Well, Jerod's in now to do his day job.
Wait a minute. No, you do this.
Yeah.
I've been doing, no,
you know what? I would love to do sports. I wish you'd let me. Buckeyes say.
Whitney Harding joins us now. I can't believe I'm going to say this, Whitney. We had real sports today.
Yes.
I don't know how to feel.
I mean,
I feel excited.
Dave Mazza is back with a final check of the forecast. Dave refuses to say the word hot again for the rest of the show. So, Dave, I thought we'd go with some other languages. Spanish, caliente. Italian is caldo. And I believe French is chaud.
Oh.
I don't know any of these. Can you confirm any of these?
I can confirm caliente. For sure.
So these kids who are out right now doing practices,
Yeah.
it is premier.
Nice.
It is perfect for them to get out and get a lot of work done if they are able to practice right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. The weather's been just unbelievable the last couple of mornings.
Cleveland's Major League Baseball team has been called the Indians since 1915. In recent years, they eliminated the Chief Wahoo mascot from the team's uniforms and from all use. Tonight, the team says it will consider changing its nickname altogether. The team says in a statement tonight it will work with the community and partners to determine the future of that nickname. The team says the recent international spotlight on social justice and racism prompted the team to conduct that review. If they never play another Workday Charity Open again, people will certainly remember the one that happened. And it came down to two men, Justin Thomas and Colin Morikawa. And JT making a snack out of this place. He played 8 holes in the middle of his round at 7 under par. This at 15, an eagle putt to take a 3-shot lead with 3 holes to play. But Morikawa fights back. Thomas made bogey at 16, and at 17, Morikawa's birdie gives him a shot down 1 going to the final hole. And when Thomas makes another bogey at 18, Morikawa just needs this to force a playoff, nervously onto the extra holes. And watch what happens here. Thomas for birdie from 50 feet away. Now this takes a while, but it is worth it. So Morikawa has to make his putt from 25 feet to extend the playoff, and young Colin will not be denied.
That was huge. I had to make it after he made it. And, from there on, I just knew. Hit fairways, hit greens, put the pressure on him.
The playoff eventually goes to a 3rd playoff hole at the 10th. There, Thomas finds trouble. Morikawa's shot into the 10th is on the money, and he makes par to earn his 2nd career PGA Tour win.
It's completely unacceptable to give up a 3-shot lead with 3 to go. It's I'm upset and disappointed in myself.
This is a huge kind of stepping stone. We got number 1 out of the way. We got number 2. Let the gates just open and let's just keep going.
Good thing they teed off early in the morning, because in the afternoon the rains showed up here at Muirfield. Monday, this place will be closed to the players as the maintenance crews get it ready to go again for the Memorial Tournament coming up next week, the second part of this unprecedented PGA Tour doubleheader. At Muirfield Village, Jerod Smalley, NBC4.